want to start this one with my favorite D&D joke. An adventuring party walks into the bar. Bartender asks, "Why do you always wear your weapons and armor everywhere?" Paladin chuckles and says, "In case of mimics, of course." The party laughs, the bartender laughs, the table laughs, the party kills the table. If you don't get that joke, well, by the end of this video, you will. For today, we are talking about mimics. DMs are going to love this episode, as it should kickstart your brain into thinking of ways to mess with your party. Player characters, beware, this episode may warp how you play tabletop games. Mimics are medium amorphous monstrosities that can alter their shape into pretty much anything. Some people think they're related to oozes, gelatinous cubes, or black puddings due to their blob-like bodies when not in object form. However, this is likely not the case. Their origin is likely a wizard dabbling beyond their purview. This will become a thing in this series. Magic, again, has gone too far. The most common form they take across multitudes of games and realms are chests. And there is a reason for this. Wood and stone are closest to a mimic's natural skin colour. In their natural form, they are dark grey, have a stone-like texture, and they alter their colour by flooding their grain-like capillaries with pigment-rich fluids within sacs inside their body. I'm not going to go too much more into that side of mimics, as there are much better videos available on YouTube from great creators like AJ Pickett, who goes further into their ecology and is much better at it. An eager adventuring party who just slogged through a dungeon find a room with a long dead body on the floor. In the centre of the room, some broken furniture, and a chest in the corner. Two of the party check the body while the rogue approaches the chest to check it for traps. The rogue is immediately grappled and being smothered by a chest that has now sprouted tentacles and is attacking the other party members, while climbing high up into the corner of the wall, dragging with it the struggling rogue. These things can be the stuff of nightmares because almost anything can be a mimic. Or worse, a mimic can replace almost anything. Mimics were introduced way back in 1st edition, and created by Gary Gygax and expanded upon by Ed Greenwood. They are now an icon of a dungeon, horror, or Underdark campaign. The way mimics attack is quite unique. Their skin exudes a gluey substance which is ridiculously strong enough to hold them to walls and ceilings for days at a time, and also to grapple their prey. So they let their prey touch them, hold them with the glue. The prey is now considered grappled by the mimic, and the mimic's attacks are now at advantage due to their grappler ability. They are close quarters killers, and they are clever. There are the two most common variants of mimic, which are common and killer. Killers are dumb hulks that just attack out of feral need for food. They are also supposedly the ones listed in the monster manual. Common are actually quite intelligent. They even have some grasp of language and communications, so you can barter with them to get past them. That's only if you detect them though. The thought of them speaking kind of invokes in my head this image of a young mimic who makes itself look similar to a humanoid, just wandering around the night, speaking meaningless sentences that it's heard from townsfolk, travellers, or just children playing nearby. Creepy. Kind of like how the Predator does in the Predator movies. Now I want to speak about some uses or examples. Some of these are playful, some of these can be terrifying. But you know, that's where you get to make those decisions. I wanted to talk about something AJ Pickett alluded to in one of his videos. What if there was a swarm of tiny mimics that were created and just herded by wizards to clean up trash around the city? What if they came out at night and that's just what they did? They just cleaned up all the trash by eating it. As mimics can kind of be any size, what if they were a swarm of mimics so small that they looked like coins? That would be a difficult one for your party to ever get over. They'd never trust a pile of coins again. Then we have the classic door mimics. Your party rocks up to a door, grab the handle, and the door grabs back. Or if you want to subvert this trope, what if there's an open archway, and instead of the door attacking, the door frame drops as soon as they pass? There are larger mimics that take on the form of much larger items, some even the size of houses, and take on the form of houses, and we call these house hunters. But what if it wasn't just a house, and what if it was a normal size mimic? Because a normal size mimic can emulate something the size of an outhouse. There's your random encounter for when your party are staying at an inn. One of them gets up in the middle of the night and goes to use the bathroom. know you can be so mean. Speaking of large mimics, I want to talk about Mimi the giant mimic. I wish I could find the original post where I read this, but I remember reading a Reddit post where a DM gave their party a ship. The ship just happened to be a mimic, with 4 letters on the back, but it looked like a 5th fell off. Mimi, the giant mimic. Can you imagine a ship just in the middle of it? It just opens a big, giant, toothy mouth just to completely destroy a small vessel in front of it. There's also the classic where the floor isn't the floor and the roof isn't the roof, and it's actually a mimic. These are 2 ideas that I read about as well that I thought were brilliant. One about handrails on a stairs. What says a mimic can't take the shape of a handrail? Or here's a nice one. Say your party's running around in the Underdark and they come towards a cliff. They can't get around it, they have to go up it, and there's no way up. And then suddenly they come across a ladder. So they climb the ladder, they get to the top of the ladder, and find that it's part of another mimic. Or who's to say they even make it to the top before the ladder decides to drop a couple and hang on to a few. One of the worst ways you can split a party. Before this last story, if you have enjoyed this video, please click the like button and subscribe for more of these. I'm trying to put out more of these each week, so thanks. I believe it was an old /B style post. The party's making their way through a dungeon, and they walk down a corridor to find a door leading off the corridor. But hanging above it, a sign that says, "Warning, mimics." The fighter pokes the door with his pole arm and they determine it's safe. The rogue checks for traps, nothing doing. So the wizard suggests, "Open the door and I will fireball inside. It's the only way to be sure." The cleric says, "No, there could be valuable scrolls or potions, yada yada." So they agree to focus fire on every object in the room, piece by piece, until they find and kill the mimic. The fighter opens the door tad, the cleric casts light, the fighter checks the ceiling. Seriously folks, look up more. The fighter runs in and attacks a chair just within reach. The party follow after, and piece by piece, they destroy every item of furniture, just to be safe. Not one mimic. The party look at all the master-crafted, beautiful furniture now strewn in pieces across the floor. Probably would have been worth some serious coin. That's a shame. Downtrodden, they leave the room and continue on their way. Last out, the rogue smacks the sign, just out of sheer frustration. The sign attacks. Roll initiative. So how will you use these amorphous enemies? Will you make them the classic chest? Do you have a better form for them to use against your party? Share it in the comments. What is the most terrifying form for a mimic? Thanks for watching. Take care, folks.